Hey, in this video, I want to go over some core reasons why you're not able to scale your brand, especially for media buyers. Welcome to my channel. My name is Peter, and if you're new here, I'm currently working as a growth marketer at Pair, and I'm scaling this brand to $10 million a year in revenue. And I'm simply documenting my findings, my aha moments, breakthroughs, and advice that I could give to my older self 2 years ago. So I want to go over a common thing that a lot of media buyers go through, which is, I like to call it a creative roller coaster. So let me go through an article I wrote together with you. Have you ever wondered why your creatives tend to have a short shelf life? This is what an amateur media buyer would go through on a weekly basis. For example, Monday, they grind out creative ideas for days and they ship it out to a graphic designer. Whilst waiting, ad account performance isn't doing well, it's starting to decline, and you're getting anxious as a media buyer, and you finally get those new creatives that you have received and you launch them, and after 2 to 3 days, account performance is back on track within the KPI and you're quite happy. But 3, 4, 5 days later, creators fatigue, CPAs goes up, and you're frustrated because you have to go through this loop again, testing out new creatives, grinding out new ideas, right? And you're in this constant negative cycle you never want to, you always want to get out. So I understand the pain media buyers go through, and I just want to address this. And this is one of the ways that you can reduce the brain overload that you have, and I hope reduces all the frustration that you have. And I hope it helps you to scale your account much faster, much more predictively, and again, as a media buyer, you don't want to be in an anxious state. You want to be in a thriving state, right? So I want to go over this with you. It won't take long. So new creatives, media buyers have launched, do well in the first 2 weeks, and cost per acquisition starts skyrocketing again, and the dopamine hit is over, and they're back to square one, and it leaves them frustrated. And I like to call this a creative dopamine trap. But what if you could squeeze more juice out of it and save time and money, and have more time to think about more creative breakthroughs, more time to work on improving the creative output, more time working on strategic levers in the business. And I want media buyers to understand that people buy things for different reasons, and your creative should do the same, but it doesn't mean your creative team needs to go into another production shoot. Your core concept of the creative can stay the same, but how you sell could be slightly changed, and this allows you more room to test that specific angle for a long period of time. And I had many ads that could run for 6 to 12 months with the same angle, but I've been just changing slight variations, and I'm maintaining the same CAC with that particular ad. And a good example of variant testing comes from Bonds. So if you don't know, if you're in Australia, Bonds is a very big underwear company, and I want to go through a campaign they produce in YouTube. So in the competitive world of men's underwear, Bonds understand that one size fits all approach doesn't cut it when it comes to capturing attention of various target audiences. With creative variations, they were able to connect deeper with subsets of customers while maximizing their production costs. A lot of media buyers think they can sell the product, or a lot of brand owners think they can sell a product to everyone. But truth bomb, not all of the customers need your product, only a subset. So it would be absurd to spend another production coming up with another angle, but what Bonds did was a genius move, and I want you to apply this for your e-commerce brand. This will save you time, resources, headaches, and most importantly, prevent you from burnout. And as a media buyer, I've been there, and it's a really terrible place to be. So what Bond's team did, they recognized every demographic, whether it's a working professional in their 30s or retiree, they all have unique desires, preference, and perspective in life. And their creative team has done a fantastic job of creating a series of tailored messages that speak directly to the specific needs and aspiration of each group. They understand that language, humor, life outlook vary across demographics, and they have honed on the nuances to get their creatives to resonate with the target audience. So this is why deep customer research is so important. Right now it's quite confusing, I assume, but let me break down and give you an example. So Bond's team has identified one main selling point. So let's look at their unique value proposition, a support pouch that provides exceptional comfort and support. So while the UVP remains consistent throughout all the demographics, Bonds has skillfully created variants of the video hooks to cater to the different perceptions of the UVP based on each demographic's life stage. This level of segmentation within the creative ensures that Bond's messaging gets a clear cut through in each submarket, so 30s, 40s, 50s, or retirees, or working professionals, whatever it is. Because they've done their research, their creative has more cut through in the market. Just on a side note, they were able to focus more on the fundamentals, core desires of the market rather than tactics of creative. Because if you do your research, if you're able to speak what the customer wants to hear, they're able to create a stronger connection. Because end of the day, people buy with emotion rather than logic. So these are the questions that you need to ask yourself as a media buyer, as a copywriter, as a brand owner. So what customer language do they speak? Is there a particular jargon in that certain demographic, in that psychographic, that your customer resonates with? Does your marketing team know who the creative is for? More specific it adds clarity in your messaging. For example, let's go through an exercise. You can target men, but if you get more specific, you can target men in the 30s. And if you get more specific, you can target men in the 30s that are into financial well-being. So you can really go granular with the messaging. And because you're getting really close to the exact need of the psychodemographic, you're able to create, really fill that gap with your creative. Last question is, what are they looking to buy? What is their dream state? What are they looking for? What are they looking to achieve with your product? And as a marketer, you need to fill that gap. And before I deep dive into how Bond's team has executed this, let's go over the standard approach to video right now in digital marketing. And this is I see that with basic media buyers, their creative blocks looks like this. For example, a junior media buyer would come up with a hook, come up with a body and CTA. And every time that particular creative dies out within 7 days, they need to come up with a new angle, and then they have to draft that copy, draft that body, draft that CTA, and give that B-roll guide to the creator. And this takes a long time, and it can be very frustrating when the performance of the ad account starts to die down on a daily basis. But to be a great media buyer and growth marketer, you must understand that there are actually sub-blocks of a body. And by mixing the orders of these blocks, you can build an entire new creative without going to another UGC creator or creative production. Because going to another UGC creator, shipping the product takes 1 to 2 weeks, finalizing the deal, reviewing UGC's raw creative, and editing them post-production takes a lot of weeks. And if your ad account is already suffering, for example, your KPI is 2.5 ROAS or $70 CAC, and you're hitting 1 ROAS and $100 CAC, for 4 weeks you're going to bleed a lot of money. and you need a constant flow of creative output to maintain that performance, maintain a good performance, my bad. So requesting this type of video edit by rearranging sub-blocks of the body only takes you 20-30 minutes after a creative deep dive, after a very good customer research. And it allows your campaigns to last longer and give you fewer headaches. And as a media buyer, you're able to thrive. You can step out and look at more of the strategic parts of the business. And the Bonds team took the same framework and applied it to their YouTube campaign. Again, their team did a more of a simple one, but for yourself, you can really apply this to your current creative performance. So what Bonds has done is they have the same hook, the same CTA, but they just changed the body, and the body has been changed to meet a certain psychodemographic in the market. So let's look at this. So a standard one would be hook, problem, demonstration, social proof, benefits, and call to action, but you can rearrange these blocks. They don't have to be in a particular order. As long the retention remains within the video performance, that is totally fine, and your hard metrics for CPA and ROAS still stay strong. By just rearranging the creative blocks, you're doing yourself a favor, because the campaign will last longer, and you don't have to come up with a new concept. So a variant A that Bond's team produced was a wine rack for your Pinot. Demographic, I would say 60 plus male, desires and wants. And this is the language that they speak. My Pinot is an excellent vintage. Age is important, and that's why storage is important. So as you can see, the hook is the same, the outro, the CTA is the same, but in the middle, they just swapped out to fit a 60 plus male. I won't play this, but I'll leave a link below to have a look. And variant B, a portfolio for your assets. Again, the phrase, the customer language is different. And I would say the demographic here is 30 plus working professionals. And desires and wants, I would say they are busy in their career, and the topic of finance is a huge part of their life. So these are the phrases that he says, that Gavin says. Whether it's a big listing or small listing, you got to protect your assets. Invest in something where boys have plenty of room to hang. And result was 976,000 views, and they simply did the same hook, same outro, but changed the body, and that body copy is resonating really well with the target demographic here. And variant C is more of the people who love adventure. And lastly, this one went really well, which amassed 2.5 million views. And variant D was a bento box for your 3-piece sushi. Very humorous. And I'll say this is more of a generic one. And one of the phrases that they say is, when preparing for the bento box, the rice balls and the nori must be separate. And very humorous. I think this was far the best. And the takeaway here is your production team or the UGC team should produce a lot of hooks, a lot of bodies, a lot of different problem copies, say different types of problems. Because once you get that batch, that creative batch, you can use that for months. Instead of giving one particular script for creator, create multiple scripts. So that can last 2 to 3 months, and you don't have to go into that creative roller coaster of building scripts, sending out UGC creators, quality checking their output, and putting them to post-production. This will save you a lot of money, resource, and time. So a takeaway from reviewing Bond's commercial is not all variants will be successful. But the point here is to test at least 5 to 10 variants of your winning ad. So when you find a winning ad and it dies out, don't just go on to the next batch. Try to revive that ad. Test multiple variations of the ad. And it is possible that third variant may outperform your first one. And this happened to me multiple times. So don't go back to storyboarding with new creators and video shots and wait for 3 to 4 weeks to get a new one. And whilst your ad account suffers, create variants of your winning ad, and it will surely help stabilize your creative performance and your mindset and your mental health as well. So I want to give you a personal example. So let's have a look at this. Context-wise, they all have been given enough impressions and spend to judge its performance. We aren't looking at just ads that have spent $100 to get, they actually have spent a lot to get statistical significance. Okay, so have a look at 34D and 44B. So there's actually a $10 difference in cost per purchase, and this is a very good thing for us. And there's much more profit coming in. So let's have a look at 34 and 30D. Let me zoom in for a second. Sorry, I can't zoom in. So let's look at 34B, cost per purchase 61, 34D 49. So $60, $50, let's say. And that's actually a win for me. They're actually the same in creative, but they just have a different hook. And the point of this blog is that I did not have to come up with a new entire angle. I did not have to request a new UGC assets. This hook change only took me 2 ideas from confirming that this hook is good and shipping it to my creative designer to make the edits and uploading them back to Facebook to launch it. And saving me time and headaches to come up with a new creative angle. So as a media buyer, if you're struggling, your ad account is suffering, try this out and let me know how you go. And I hope this helps a lot of media buyers, creative strategists, and e-com brands owners out there. If you enjoyed this video, just let me know what you have learned through this video. And if you'd like to share this video, that would mean a lot to me.